Okay, my friends, it's Roger, and this is for my excellent friend Pete up in Maine. Bonjour up there, Pete. And I will try to answer your question. Now, this is biology. That is red blood. This is the black blood, which is the expended blood. That has the oxygen and it deoxygenated. Now, you see these little circles with the little spot in the center? They're all over the place here. And then you see this big ball. This is at the end of a tunnel. And that ball in the center can roll around, and they actually took it out of there. Okay, so here they are down pulling this ball out of this socket. And when they did, and they brought it to the surface, something very strange happened. He said, bring it to the surface, something astonishing unfolded before their eyes. When discovered, the rolling stone was black in color, measured roughly 11 to 12 centimeters in diameter. Within a matter of just a few minutes, the stone changed into grayish color and expanded to over 3 times its original size. All right, the color change, I understand that, and I think I might understand why it puffed up like that. Let's take a look at Trovance. Okay, Pete, here's my answer, buddy. These are called Trovance, and these are tendon balls that are reactive. Now, something inside of them blows up. And everybody understands that, they just never, they had no clue why. Well, it's the chemistry. I don't know what the chemistry is exactly that does that. You could find out. It's in the chemistry, the chemistry. And you could look at it and find out why they keep blowing up. Now, the other one coming out of the ground, expanding so quickly, that's kind of unusual, I would think, but who knows? And the other thing I think is when they were digging down that corridor there, they are digging through flesh. Flesh is not hard to dig through. Once you hit these babies, you're done. And I think they just decided, whoops, let's just stop. Because they could see all these tendon balls heading right in there. Why dig into that? All right, this is what they have to start to understand, is those tendon balls are all over the earth, and they are from creatures. I'm sorry the creatures were gigantic. That's what they were. Now, there's blood everywhere in your body, obviously, and it changes from the red to the black as it's used during the process of combustion, really, inside your body. You're using up those oxygens, and it gives you the energy. Now, these balls are all over the place, and those straps come down to them, and I showed you those little circles, and I'm going to show you a giant one, and I'm going to show you some more of those circles. But they attach bones. They attach bone to bone. It's called ligaments. Tendons are bones to sometimes other bones, but more likely to muscles. And then of course they go to another bone somewhere. They have to anchor one side and anchor the other side in order for you to pull yourself around. That's what they do. All right, let me try to explain to you about these balls. You see that ball right there and that stalk? What happens is normally that would be locked around that, and that's the anchor. So the strap would run back, and that would be the thing that pulls it and moves it around. Tendon balls are the same thing. Well, that's a tendon ball too. I mean, there's a bazillion of them, and I mean a bazillion of them. Now, that structure there is supposed to hold that ball. Well, the whole thing came out of its holder here. And I'll show you them in living small creatures. This is gigantic stuff. I'm sorry, it's just the way it happened. And this is a microscopic shot of a tendon mat assembly that has all the straps running through. They call these little Chinese finger traps. And what it does is the strap goes through, it anchors to the ball. The ball is locked in here. That one's ripped out. This is an injury. Usually that ball will be stuck in here and it cannot move, and that allows the mat to pull back and forth against your muscles. And there is a bazillion of them. They're all over. It's just not just 4 in a row here. There's like, I don't know how many, but there's a lot of them. All right, these are the exact same things. That's the tendon strap coming down to the ball. Originally, the meat was this tall, and these were anchored into it. There's another ball here, ball here, ball here, ball here, and that is a broken off strap that I showed you in that cave in Indonesia. There's straps like this broken off all over the place. Because everyone ran to one of these balls. And there's a zillion of them. I showed you the Anatomical. Alright, this is basically the same thing as in that cave. And that's the ball. And the ball can roll around inside these sockets. I mean, they're all over the place. I have done a lot of research on this. No question what these things are. Alright, I'm just going to run down some of these stone balls. You see, there's, I got so many pictures of these things. They are all over the earth in copious quantities. And not only are they on earth, they are found in space. I could go on for this. I mean, we could stay on this for a month, just these stone balls. Right, and they have different structures. You see this? This is one style. Now, they're found in, I don't know whether this is from a different creature. It has this structural integrity in the center, but I know the other ones don't, as you saw the other ones that look like onions. And then you get ones like this that are blocky. You see, this one here came from a friend of mine, Lee. And this here shows how they're all in the earth, and they have these stripes in them. You see, just like that. There's all kind of different styles, and the ones that are in the white-looking stuff, that's kaolin clay. Those are facial skin tags. That's skin tags, and it's usually facial skin. They're soft skin, white kaolin clays. And everything I'm showing you is tendon balls from creatures. Now, the Chinese used to cut them across and make plates out of them like that, and then there's these here. Somebody's looking into this. These are up in Alberta, Canada. And I think Sibley's looking into these right now. Now, this right here, these are, they call marbles. That was somebody's skin. And those marbles were locked in there, and that was allow that skin to go back and forth. You can say anything you want, but this is factual. And this is how they used to cut the stones, and then they actually had giants, no question whatsoever, making Stonehenge, and no question whatsoever, Stonehenge is made of giants. That's the heel stone. They knew what it was made of. Okay, I am pretty sure that this is a very similar or the same emplacement as we're seeing in that pyramid. Now, it would have sat in this holder here. That's what they do. They're anchors. And that wrapped around the anchor, but the whole thing came up. Instead of, that's what happened. Let me check this out. A friend today, Raimondo, sent me this. That's a piece of stone, but I mean, there's not a human being alive could dismiss that that's meat. And I get so much of this stuff every day. People are dying to put this stuff out so that other people can see it. Look at this. I got one right here. I'm gonna put a little moisture on it so you can see it. But everybody's got them, and nobody can show them to anybody because they all laugh. But that's meat. 100% meat. When this first came out of the ground, it was like this, red. And that's the fascia flap here. I have some real good shots of this when I first originally took it out. But that's all it is. I mean, there's meat everywhere. It's time for people to be able to show these things, and we should start to investigate this. Now, I've shown this many times, but blood gushes out of these rocks. That's a lung. I have it here. And the pattern of the lung is exactly the same pattern. There's no question it's a lung. That's a lung. It's been DNA certified. The blood gushed out of that. I mean, it actually leaked on the counter out of that rock. When they come out of the mud, and they are in the soft, platy, polar silicates. That's the key. They got to be in the finest pore mud. It seals and encapsulates it, and everything inside is preserved because it's literally inside of flesh. Mud is flesh. This is what it is. It's time to start to look at this with a serious investigative eye. This is silly. This has gone on so long. It really is. It's very, very frustrating. Okay, now this is fascia. It's like a rubber bag that coats everything. And then you have these tongues. This is a fascia tongue here on a lung. A tongue on a lung. That's the first time I use that. Okay, and it flaps around. And that's the same coating of this fibers in red and black, and there's collagens and keratins and kerogens and all kinds of chemistry that do certain fabric coatings of certain things that have certain chemistry. Your kidneys are not going to be coated with the same sort of fabrics that your heart is going to be coated with. That kind of stuff. It's acids, salts, whatever the situation calls for, your body can do. Absolutely fascinating. All right, see, as they come out of the ground and they sit in the air and everything, that's that rock. When it first came out, you couldn't tell it from a piece of meat. You could eat the damn thing. Now this is fascia. See all that stuff we're coating there? This white stuff, that's the fascia. Now when I first discovered this stuff, I realized it was fascia, and nobody understood fascia. I got a hold of Gil Headley, and he's the only one that would even talk to me about this. He worked with me online, and he verified all the things I'm saying. And well, hold on a second. Okay, Gil Headley is a PhD, and he owns his own school, and he teaches all around the world. Very, very skilled. Now, I go back quite a ways with him. This goes back 2009, 513, fascia and the stretching, the fuzz. And this was when I first discovered mud fossils. I don't think it was that far back. I think I was, anyway, it's the fascia. And I decided to call mud fossils fascia facilitated fossilization. That would fascia facilitated fossilization, and that's what I was going to call it originally. But then I decided that it would be better to. This is kind of these are cadavers and so forth. So if you're not into seeing dead bodies, I wouldn't be watching much longer. And this is Gil, very good guy, and very talented.
We've seen the fuzz. You can see it now. I'll put it in over my voice.
I need to tell you something, because this is really funny, because they called it fuzz, and they just thought it was nothing. You cut it and throw it away. It's just this and that. Well, I think Gil was onto the fact of how important it is. Now it's considered one of the most important organs in the whole body. It ties the whole body together, and this actually may be the way that there's a lot of communication through those fascia fibers. All right, now listen to what he has to say. You see, look.
The fuzz yields to my fingertip. Sometimes I come across a stronger, thicker strand. It doesn't yield to my fingertip. That represents older fuzz sometimes, or maybe it represents the nerve.
All right, I just want to explain to you what he's trying to point out is why you get pain. And this stuff, it glues together, literally glues together in your body. It's supposed to be all slimy and slippery and moving. As he shows, you can move it all this, and it says it gives to his finger. Well, that means you have enough moisture in there, you have enough lubrication, you're supple. Well, if it's pasty like this, you're in trouble. You're in pain, and that is what everybody was doing when I first started. They all had only the idea that they were dealing with pain here. And then Gil really came on board with me and understood, and I think he may be one of the ones that sort of helped to make it understood that fascia is a lot more than fuzz, all right? But let's continue on with this.
But each night when you go to sleep, the interfaces between your muscles grow fuzz, potentially. And in the morning when you wake up and you stretch, the fuzz melts. We melt the fuzz. That stiff feeling you have is the solidifying of your tissues. The sliding surfaces aren't sliding anymore. There's fuzz growing in between them. You need to stretch. Every cat in the world gets up in the morning and stretches its body, and it melts the fuzz in the same way that the fuzz melted when I passed my finger through it. When you're moving, it's as if you're passing your finger through the fuzz, just like I did on the cadaver form here. So you have to stretch and move and use your body in order to melt that fuzz that's building up between the sliding surfaces of your musculature. The sliding surface, those shiny white surfaces of the rectus femoris sliding against the vastus intermedialis. So these sliding surfaces are all over your body, and the fuzz is all over your body, and as you move, you melt the fuzz. Now what happens if you get an injury? Ah, my shoulder! My shoulder is stiff now. I'm holding my shoulder, I go to bed, I wake up in the morning, I don't stretch my shoulder, I'm afraid it hurts. So I'm walking around like this. Last night's fuzz doesn't get melted.
All right, it's coming back to me now. Now, this goes back to 2009, this particular video of Gil's. And I didn't hook up with him in 2000 till 2012, and he was receptive. Now, the reason is because at that time, I thought it was fascia that facilitated the fossilization. It really is. But he was understanding fascia from a different perspective. And I also tied in with the Germans, who were also looking at it for stretching, and they call it leucine-rich proteins that are on the synovial sheath, so that everything can slide back and forth. Absolutely. You won't believe this. Look at this. Coefficients of friction. Synovial joints in humans, it's got the least coefficient of friction of anything. It's like way better than Teflon. So anyway, and that's what they were into, was all these pain issues from fascia. Well, I was into fascia being this stuff. And then they helped me out, which I was very grateful. Thank you, Gil. Okay, if I'm saying thank you to people, that's one of the people I really want to say thank you to is Jesse Garant. All right, they did 7 CAT scans for me. And this is top-end stuff. They do industrial equipment to look for problems and so forth in big engines and racing cars and all kinds of stuff. This is no joke. And they graciously did that in the interest of science, because Jesse knew that I was correct in what I was showing. And these are not inexpensive. And they charged me $0. And Jesse Garant, thank you. And Fabio, thank you. They were as nice as anybody could have been. If I was paying them double, I couldn't have expected any better service. All right? I really mean this deeply. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse.